Jared talked about practice yesterday being really good and being a start, but needing to make that an everyday thing. How do you take one thing and build on it and try to build some consistency out of it?
I mean, that's what we have to do. I think that's very, very clear. I've said we've got to get better, and it starts with our approach in practice and being able to sustain that and carry it over to the game so we get rid of these long scoring droughts and inability to defend as we go through those scoring droughts.
And I should ask, did you agree? Did you think yesterday was a good step?
It was a good practice. Yep.
How conscious are you of setting a tone of optimism and that there's a solution out there when some of your comments might read a little bit depressed?
How so?
Well,
Maybe
can't
how
reach
you read them.
Can't reach the players, don't know how to motivate them, that sort of thing.
I don't believe I said I don't know how to motivate our players.
Well, I'm paraphrasing, but I think you had a quote about you weren't sure how to motivate these guys. Is that correct or not?
You're the one attributing the quote.
Well,
I would think you know the quote.
Okay. Basic question is the tone that you set, and how conscious are you about that?
Every day I go into practice, I believe that my job is to try to improve our team, and nothing's changed in that regard.
When you look at, and Jared was talking about three-point shot not going for him, and you've said that leads to other things for other guys. How hard is it for a guy not to hit a three-point shot or not to hit field goals and not let it affect him in other places? And is that an issue still, do you feel like, with this team?
Yeah, Jared's been really good about not letting it affect him on the defensive end. I know that, he's struggling with that because I think he feels like he's letting the team down. But, two wrongs don't necessarily make a right. Being able to have the backbone and the resilience to continue to defend is a challenge that I think Jared's been really good at handling all year. He would probably admit maybe not so the last couple games. I know he's really frustrated, but we have to be able to play with an energy on the defensive end regardless of what happens on offense. I think the way that we created some shots on Saturday, although the results weren't what we wanted, were the type of shots and the type of looks that over time, should go in. We were playing the right way for the most part. Defensively, we caved, and Hughley had a lot to do with that. He's a really good player, a massive guy on the inside, but we just got to learn from it, get better, and try to get one tomorrow night.
Chris, you mentioned there that you believe you got some quality shots against Pitt. You just couldn't knock them down, and I think it's something you've mentioned before this season, having faith in the system, creating some good looks. Do you get that sense of confidence or faith from the players in the system you guys implemented this year, and how can they better perform in those roles? To be more
I think that, as we sort of got through this season, I think that, early on, like we talked about through the first 10 or 12 games, I really didn't like our shot selection. And, we had to sort of address the type of shots that we want to get. I talked several games back about our inability of even attempting to get the ball in the lane, and that would be a good thing for our team. It would create more free throws. It would create even better looks on the perimeter. And so that was an adjustment. And I think, to our players' credit, we started doing a much better job. Again, I thought on Saturday, some of the looks, again, not every possession. I think you take around 60 shots a game. Not every shot's going to be, a high-quality feet set, great shot. But by and large, we were producing good shots for one another, and that's all you can ask as a coach. And then we got to do a better job on the offensive glass when we do miss those.
Chris, during the ACC call on Monday, you mentioned how missing Sidney was really hurt you guys against Pittsburgh and their physicality underneath. What's his progress, and do you anticipate him playing?
Yeah, he practiced yesterday, anticipating practicing today and playing tomorrow night. And I thought he looked good. He didn't look like he was playing on one leg. I think if you probably asked him, he would say it was bothering him a little bit, but it certainly wasn't very noticeable to anybody else.
Chris, Jared talked about the importance of maintaining your confidence, and I don't know if there's an answer to this question, but is there a way to maintain confidence without results, like you're not making shots or you're not winning? How do you keep a team confident?
Yeah, I think that's tough. You know, as a personal, as a player, I think when you can't buy one, you know, it starts to mess with your mind a little bit. But you know, listen, we have to be able to put that aside, play for our teammates, and continue to give effort on the defensive end. That's the only way I know how, and it's the only way it's going to get us out of it.
Chris, you had mentioned searching for ways to kind of motivate this group or trying new things. When you do that, how much do you pull from either past experiences or try to reach out to mentors or other coaches to see what could work?
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily, call, friends of mine, that aren't in our locker room, that aren't on the floor. Believe me, they've probably battled their own issues with their own teams before. But there's a certain dynamic when you have your team. I would never pretend to be able to, call up a buddy who was, losing a few games in a row and have all the answers for him as an outsider. He doesn't know the personalities on our team. He doesn't know necessarily what we run, what's plagued us. I lean on the guys on my staff and my players. And so I do lean on past experiences, absolutely. I mean, I think we're a collection of all our experiences as a person, as a coach, as a player. So, yeah, I draw on those to try to figure out what can help this team improve.
Chris asked Jared if, because of the struggles, the mental struggles, if there was any finger pointing going on in the team. He said there might be a little bit as a coach or even as players. How do you overcome? Because obviously that's something that can impact the entire team's mental aspect.
Yeah, you can't overcome when there's finger pointing, and until that ends, if that is a problem, then you won't solve your problems. The finger pointing has to go to the guy in the mirror, including me, including our players, and have the right attitude and the right effort and the right disposition when you hit the practice floor and when you hit the game floor. But there's finger pointing, that's not going to solve anything.
Have you had a season where these kinds of challenges that you've had this season have lingered this late?
I mean, I've had challenges every year. I mean, I don't know if I can equate them, but yeah, I think you certainly have challenges each and every year. It's been a challenging group, and we're going to continue to try to figure out what plagues us and improve on it.
Speaking of challenges in previous years, 2017, you lose your point guard late in January. You lose 10 of the last 16. You end up in the Elite Eight. Is there any common thread here, anything that you did there that flipped the switch, that turned things around?
Well, we had a different group. We had a group that just was beset by injuries, and we ought to go from playing a point guard that was playing 5-6 minutes a game to 36 minutes a game as a freshman because we lost Edmund Sumner. But that group had a resolve, and I'll be interested to see if this group has that same resolve. And we're going to keep coaching them and try to improve them with the hopes that resolve shows through, and we start getting the results that we want.
Chris, Jared had echoed what you said about the defensive end kind of just coming down to effort after reviewing some of the tape. Is it that simple, or are there any other issues that are coming up on that side of the ball?
Well, I think when you watch tape, you can't necessarily get the sounds on the floor. We have to be a louder team and a more connected team on defense. Guys that see what's happening, they give their teammates, an understanding what's happening on the floor. It makes you more alert. You can correct situations as they happen, whether it's a rotation, whether it's a block out. You have to be able to communicate. It's hard to see on tape, but it's easy to feel when you're on the sideline, and something that we've been hammering here over the last couple of days.
Chris, Boston College, a little bit. Obviously, they had a huge pause because of COVID and finals and things, and then went through a 5-game losing streak until beating Clemson this past Saturday. Do you see them as an improving team, and what do you expect from the Eagles?
Yeah, I think they're a very physical team. They're extremely competitive. They're a new team in terms of not a lot of holdovers from the past, coaching staff. I think Coach Grant's done a really good job here as of late. His guys play extremely hard, and they're down 23 at Clemson, come back and win that game. They're a downhill, attack you, draw fouls type of team. They give great effort on the offensive glass. So, again, we certainly have a focus on Boston College, but my bigger focus is the team in the locker room and on a practice court today.
Chris, you said that everybody, coaches, players, everybody needs to look in the mirror, kind of evaluate themselves, what they can do better. It's been one practice since then, but how do you get a sense of whether guys are doing that, of whether guys are taking stock of what they need to do?
Well, I think you meet with your players. You see what their reaction is in practice. Again, I think yesterday's practice was a really good step, but we'll see if that continues. And it needs to if we want to pull ourselves out of a 3-game losing streak.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.